And so what trips people up most times is the follow through. It's not the start. Most people get tripped up on the follow through. So we're going to talk today about something called the eccentric principle. And you know that when you train, everything that you do inside of the gym is practice and preparation for your life outside of it. We've all heard it said that the getting started is the hardest part. And while that's true for some people, I think for most people, that's actually not the hardest part. We all know someone who started a bunch of things and never seemed to follow through on anything. And so, what I believe is that actually the follow through tends for most people to be the hardest part. You know, getting started a lot of times you have a lot of enthusiasm and energy, and that's enough to get you started. But what happens when you get started and it turns into a slog? So we're going to discuss this week, and I'm going to just talk to you about how to keep the mental strength to overcome slumps and setbacks. So this is Mark Johnson, the founder of Bounce Pep, bringing you ideas for a fit and flourishing future. You know that I am the youngest son of Bill Johnson, and you do know that I appreciate you subscribing and watching. And let's jump right in. So let me take you back to when I was in college, and I'm going to say around 21, 22 at the time. And I didn't know anything about law. And so I just had this idea in my head that I wanted to just learn something about law. I was not in school. I wasn't in law school, but I just wanted to learn something about the law because I didn't know anything. And so I found this book called Law 101. And Law 101, I'm figuring, okay, it must just be like the basics, the bare fundamentals. And so I buy the book and I'm excited. And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to learn something. And I start reading. And I'm in the chapter 1. And it's so boring. It was the dullest book that I can ever remember reading in my life. And I never made it all the way through chapter 1. Despite all my excitement, when I started reading, it turned into such a slog. It was so boring, so dull that I never made it through chapter 1. And that book is still on my bookshelf, shelf, and I still have, to this day, I've never finished reading that book. Maybe I'll do it again just to overcome the challenge, but I'm not looking forward to jumping back into that book. But anyway, let me just say that what happens a lot of times when we start something, we have a lot of energy and enthusiasm, and that's enough to get us started. A lot of people really don't have much trouble getting something started. It's what comes after that. Because sometimes what happens is we start something, right? And then really nothing happens. It seems like we're working on it, we're working on it, we're working on it, and then nothing happens. Or we start something and it just gets really hard. Whatever it is that we started, just along the way starts getting really, really difficult to do. And so that can put us into a slump. And it's, obviously it's mental, emotional, and you get into this slump and you face some setbacks and you just never follow through. And so what trips people up most times is the follow through. It's not the start. Most people get tripped up on the follow through. So we're going to talk today about something called the eccentric principle. And you know that when you train, everything that you do inside of the gym is practice and preparation for your life outside of it. One of the principles I want you to understand, you can take from the gym, is this thing that I call the eccentric principle. I didn't hear this from someplace else. I didn't borrow this idea from anybody else. This is my idea that came out of my brain. This noggin, this came out of my brain. I'm sharing it with you. And it simply says this: there can be no sustained success unless you follow through on the endeavors that you start. There can be no sustained success unless you follow through on the endeavors that you start. Think about when you do a lift, you have a concentric phase and eccentric phase. You have those two phases, right? Typically, the concentric phase is the start of the lift and the eccentric is the follow through. And people tend to downplay the importance of the eccentric phase. And so what I'm telling you is don't downplay the importance of the eccentric phase. That is the follow through. That's where people kind of go into it. They, lose focus, don't pay attention. They can, kind of lose their progress or not make as much progress as they would if they had really focused more on that consent or eccentric phase of the lift, right? And so outside the gym, it works the same way. You must pay attention to the eccentric. That is the follow through. Now, understand that follow through determines success. Okay, getting started is okay. That of course nothing can happen if you never get started, but the follow through determines your success. Can you stick with it? So, with that said, let's just talk about a few things that you need to have in place to help you overcome slumps and setbacks. Okay, and this is all about just keeping your mentality right. So, the first thing is this: you've got to have a clear idea of what your purpose is, because your purpose undergirds everything that you're doing. So when you start something, if you don't really have a sense of purpose for why you're doing it, that's really undergirding it, really, that it really serves as the foundation for why you're doing it, it's going to make it easy for you to become discouraged and to just decide to quit when you get into a slump and face some setbacks, right? Now, there is this thing called ambition, and I want to make a delineation between purpose and ambition, because ambition is kind of like this thing this desire that you have to achieve something or do something, but the benefit is mainly for yourself. Okay, what makes purpose different from ambition is that purpose is bigger than you. Okay, so when I throw around these words like purpose and ambition, I have very specific definitions for those words, and I'm sharing this with you because I want to make sure that we're on the same page about what I'm talking about when I use these words. So purpose is the thing that drives you to strive for whatever that goal is that you have. But purpose is it's kind of like your way of impacting the world, right? So it's more of a mission than mere ambition is. Ambition is all about you. Purpose is all about your impact on the world. The world could be, I don't know, the world could be 1 billion people to you. The world could be 100 people to you. It could be 5 people. But when you have a sense of purpose, it's about more than just you. So I want you to understand that you need to have a sense of purpose, that's driving what you're doing. So that's the first thing that's going to help you to overcome setbacks and slumps. You'll just have that deep sense of purpose that really puts you on that mission, and you'll be telling yourself, I can't stop. I have to keep going. So that's number one. Number two is believe in yourself. This is so important. Believe in yourself. Sometimes no one else will believe in you. There won't be anybody else around you who believes in you. Sometimes you have to believe in yourself, and you have to have the faith that you can get it done, no matter how hard, no matter how easy. You have to have the faith that you can get it done. Self-belief. You can accomplish so much with self-belief. It's unbelievable how much you can accomplish with self-belief. And so many people lack true self-belief. Okay. So make sure that you maintain that self-belief, even in the face of setbacks. Never lose your self-belief. You can do it. You can do it. Okay. Let me give you one more thing. It does help to have a cheerleader or a couple cheerleaders. Okay. Now, there are going to be times when you get down on yourself because you're not getting the results that you are looking for. You're not making the progress that you're looking for. The needle just doesn't seem to be moving. Okay. And you get down. You're human. It happens to the best of us. It really does. And that's why a cheerleader is so valuable. Having someone who is just excited about what you're doing and just wants to see you do well and actually believes in what you're doing the same way that you do. And having that person around, maybe you can bounce ideas off of them. Maybe if you're feeling a bit down, you can share some of those feelings with them. You can be accessible to them, not vulnerable. I don't like vulnerability. That's a whole nother conversation. Be accessible, which means that you're open, to sharing your thoughts and your feelings and open to receiving feedback. And you're open to receiving a little cheerleading, you know, having somebody lift you up a little bit. It's of great value to have someone in your life who's a cheerleader for you. For some of you, that can be your kids. Kids are great because kids, they have no idea about what's impossible. Like you just tell a kid, if your child knows that you have a big dream or something, they'll believe in it. They don't know how hard it is. And sometimes your kids will be the biggest cheerleaders you have. If it's not your kids, maybe just a friend or somebody else. But have a cheerleader in your life, at least one person. If you don't have one right now, get a cheerleader. Okay, let somebody know what you're doing who's not personally invested in it. They have nothing to gain or lose from it. They just genuinely are on your side. Okay, have somebody like that in your life. Okay. And then another thing that you want to have, if you can get it, is a mentor. Now, a mentor can actually be a cheerleader. Okay. But a mentor, more importantly, can be kind of that accountability partner and also someone who perhaps has been there and done that. So uh, they got some experience doing what you're trying to do. They've already seen the challenges, they've already overcome some things, and they can help you. They can give you some insights, right? So when you have a mentor, that can just they can talk to you in a way that just gives you that extra little mental strength to overcome those slumps and setbacks. Okay. So I want you to keep those four things in mind, as I close out this video. You need to have a deep sense of purpose. Okay. You need to be on a mission, not you. Ambition is not enough. You need to have a deep sense of purpose. What is the impact that you want to have on the world? Because when you want to impact people other than yourself or something bigger than yourself, it's going to give you a reason to keep going in spite of your own kind of crestfallen feelings. It'll just give you that mental strength. And then you want to have the belief in yourself. Believe in yourself. Look, no matter how hard it gets, you got to believe in yourself. Okay. And when that doesn't work, have a cheerleader. And on top of that, find yourself a mentor, somebody who's been there and done that. Okay. So I want you to know that life gets hard. Whatever you're working on, it can get hard. Things can get hard. You can go into a slump. It happens to the best of us, but you can have the mental strength to overcome it. So take that with you. Talk to you next time.